What's happening, family? We are so happy to have you here today. Chris and Sara, life transformation and self-empowerment coaches with Soul and Wonder. And today we are going to be talking about judgment and how to use it to your advantage.
So this is one of our favorite topics because we're offering a different perspective. You know, in the spiritual communities, new age groups, personal development, you hear this time and time again, thou shalt not judge, and no more judging, please. It's all shame thrown at judgment. And we want to offer a different perspective.
Because we like doing that sort of thing.
Because guess what? Judgment exists. And the more we shame something that exists, the more we shove it into our collective shadow and individual shadow as well. Let's just open up this door. This is going to be an interesting video because it's just us sharing perspective, and we hope that you come to this with an open mind. So in this particular video, we're specifically talking about feeling judged. Someone makes a comment about something you've done or said, and you immediately feel attacked, judged, etc. So that's what this video is about. How to use that feeling to your advantage and what's actually going on when you're feeling judged. So first and foremost, I just want to say we cannot feel judged. We absolutely cannot feel the judgment of others unless there's some sort of self-conviction underlying our conscious thought. That means there's likely a point that we are living either out of alignment with our values, or there's something within us in our subconscious mind that we are not maybe ready to see yet or willing to see yet.
You know, I think it's notable to point that it may be there, you may have noticed it before, but maybe it's a little too scary to dive into that particular topic or whatever that might be. And it's really advantageous of us to do so because this judgment that we're feeling is really showing us again where we're feeling blocked and where we are blocked, and if we go into that, what can happen if we do so.
It's a classic trigger. You know, we hear that. It's a common phrase now. I'm triggered. She's triggered. We triggered them. It's the trigger sensation where we immediately feel on guard. We have to protect ourselves. We have to, stand up for ourselves. We're feeling judged. We need to redeem our name. When someone passes a judgment onto you, what they say or do or think about your character, if there is no truth to that whatsoever, you will not feel triggered. And I know that's really hard to accept. It's hard for me to accept sometimes. When I receive judgments, I pay attention. Where am I feeling triggered? Where am I not feeling triggered? Sometimes the judgments of others just roll off my back. For example, I'm covered in tattoos. I'm an artist. I even used to do tattoos. But I grew up in the South, where it's incredibly oppressive at times, especially towards women. And the tattooing industry is not always widely accepted in the state of Arkansas. Now, because I am confident in who I am as an artist, an expressive individual who is connected with my creativity, anytime I would receive any comments from others talking about how, oh, it's too bad, you're so pretty, you had to go cover yourself with all that ink, or, oh, that's a sin because we're in the Bible Belt, I never felt attacked. I just heard their words and I thought, that's their opinion. I didn't fall into this episode where I needed to defend myself, where I felt absolutely called out and triggered. It just rolled off my shoulders. I am not responsible for the thoughts of others. I'm not responsible for the opinions of others or what they think of me. Now, back in that day, I was also a partier. I used a lot of recreational drugs. I drank a lot. Now, as soon as someone would comment on my drinking habits or behaviors, immediately I would be triggered. Who are you to judge me? You can't judge me for what I choose to do on the weekends or what I do with my friends. And I would immediately spiral into this episode of inadequacy.
It's almost like the world is against you, and that no matter what anybody says, you're using that
Mhm.
fuel that the world is against me, the world is out to get me,
Let me be
and
who I am.
let me be who I am is the exact words I think I've uttered several times.
But why was that triggering me so much? In hindsight, through my personal development journey, I've realized that at that time in my life, I thought that I was okay with the behavior I was expressing. I thought that I was okay with drinking until I blacked out and continuing these sorts of self-destructive behaviors. So I didn't see or make the connection between my trigger points and receiving the judgments of others about those behaviors until later, when I realized that those behaviors for myself personally were not serving my highest good any longer. And when I was able to admit that, I saw that I was living out of alignment with my values. I was treating my body like shit. I wasn't honoring myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I was triggered by these people's judgments because there was truth to what they were saying, but I was not ready at that time to look at it. So we're bringing you into an uncomfortable space because we all feel triggered by someone at some point throughout our day, even us. The question is, what are you going to do with that space of triggering? Are you going to reflect and ask yourself what's really going on in here? Why are these words
Why am
sticking?
I feeling this way? Why is this happening? And at that point, you have an opportunity to exit that conversation or enter it and go deeper in. And so what decision are you going to make next time you do feel that way?
It's interesting because we tend to feel victimized often when we receive judgment from someone else. It's easier for us to blame them and say, oh, they're so judgy. And we hear that language in the spiritual community so much that it's not right to judge. So we immediately take the focus off our own insecurities and put it on the person who's doing the judging. What if the person who's doing the judging is actually doing you a favor?
Could be.
You know, there's another example. One of our good friends, she considered herself to be an environmentally conscious person, but she smoked cigarettes. And one day she was driving down the road and she was at a stoplight. There was a motorcycle next to her, a guy and his wife, and she was finished a cigarette. She threw it out the window. Not even thinking, just threw it out the window. That was her habit. And the guy looked at her and said, "You do know that's littering, right?" And as soon as he said that, she went all up in arms and said, "How dare you judge me?" You know, gave him the middle finger, drove off. And she was fuming for like an hour. Like, how dare this person? He doesn't know who I am. He's judging me, telling me I'm littering. But then she started to realize that she couldn't get this out of her head. She couldn't get the words that he said out of her head. And a few hours later, it hit her that, wait a minute, he's right. I'm littering, and I consider myself to be an environmentally conscious person. Why have I never made this connection before? Receiving that judgment from that stranger actually guided her into a place within herself to give her an opportunity to live more in alignment with her values. She stopped throwing her cigarettes out the window. Eventually, she stopped smoking altogether. So do we really need to be so angry at those who do pass judgment on us? When if what they're judging us for is their own insecurities, like for example, me expressing myself through tattooing, that's clearly their own insecurities, doesn't affect me, that wouldn't matter.
Well, and the only reason that we're getting angry in the first place is because we are living out of alignment from our actual core values and what's true to us. And if we weren't, that would just fly right off the shoulder every single
Exactly.
time.
Now, there is a difference between the ways in which people judge and the efficacy of it. For example, if Chris did something that I didn't approve of, and I just went up to him and said, "You're a horrible person for doing that." That's obviously not very constructive criticism, is it? But we're going to receive that kind of criticism throughout our lives. The question is, do you really want to give that kind of criticism power over you? And if it does affect you that deeply, ask yourself the questions. What is it within me that's being so triggered by this statement? And we can do another video on judging others, because that's another topic. We receive judgment, but we also all judge. No matter how many times people say, oh, I don't judge. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. We all judge to some degree. We just want to use it as an example of how we can use it to our advantage to grow deeper into alignment with our truest selves. And instead of running from it and fearing it like the devil that we think it is in today's world.
Absolutely.
So those are our thoughts on when you're feeling judged, how you can use it to your advantage to grow into deeper alignment with yourself instead of letting it bog you down, weigh you down, and make you depressed and feel separated from everyone else. Now, this isn't necessarily a free pass for everybody to just go around judging everybody in the most harsh way, because like we mentioned, there's a difference between just crude judgment and constructive criticism. So let's be mindful of the ways in which we treat others. Presenting information, presenting opinions that are tasteful, presenting alternative perspectives is not judgment. Others may perceive it as judgment, but this is an opportunity for them to grow in their healing. So keep sharing your perspectives, keep sharing your opinions, keep sharing that information. This is how we grow as a collective. And I get really excited when I do find myself in a triggered spot because of someone else's judgment, because that's a great opportunity.
And if you have any comments and any sort of situations that you've come across where you felt judged, or maybe how you have used it to your advantage, put it in the comments below. We would love to see that. And of course, if you like this video and all of our other videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, and we'll see you guys next time.